What's up, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of Between the Cons. My name is Kris, and with me today, Kris Too.
Kris Too.
That's him.
This guy.
Hey.
Right, hey.
Big shout out to everybody that's hit us up on the internet this week. If you've left a review on the iTunes store, Google Play Store, whatever kind of store, we appreciate it. Thanks for doing that. But we are here for a very important reason. And that reason is to review Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets. So
not 999. 1,000.
1,000.
All 1,000.
Actually, 1,000. Not even
8,000?
1,000. Just a single 1,000. But yeah, we're gonna do a quick little review for that movie. If you haven't seen it, it came out this weekend. So we'll have some spoilers later, but we'll warn you before those come up. But I guess we should probably just go ahead and jump into this thing.
Chewie, we're home.
Live long and prosper.
We don't need roads.
We'd like to shoot the monster. Could you move, please?
So Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets, for those of you that don't know, is a movie that came out this past weekend. It's also the movie with the longest title in the box office this summer. It is by Luc Besson, a French director, who brought us the wonderful, magical Fifth Element way back in the day. Fantastic film. Wish this one would have kept up. But it stars Dane DeHaan and Cara Delevingne, as well as smaller roles from Clive Owen, Rihanna, Ethan Hawke, Herbie.
Was Ethan Hawke.
Herbie
Oh,
Hancock.
Man.
Herbie Hancock was like the defense minister. It was really weird. But the plot synopsis is: a dark force threatens Alpha, a vast metropolis and home to a species of 1,000 planets. Special operatives Valerian and Laureline must race to identify the marauding menace and safeguard not just Alpha, but the future of the universe. So basically what that means is there's a giant space station in the sky that has grown to suit 1,000 different races.
Yeah, it's like dwarf planet sized.
Right. It's like that scene from Guardians of the Galaxy, like
Nowhere.
Yeah, Nowhere. It's kind of like that. But more space station-y.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool. Like, it's a cool concept. Valerian and Laureline, played by Dane DeHaan and Cara Delevingne, are like space operatives.
Yeah.
He's a major and she is a sergeant in the international fleet of the World State Federation or whatever they called themselves.
Yeah. It's like the Federation in Star Trek, but not but different.
But
and
different, yeah.
They're the Mission Impossible agents.
Yeah, pretty much.
For this.
Yeah. So right now on IMDb, this movie's got a 7 out of 10. It's got a 51 Metascore from Metacritic and a 54 on the Tomatometer on Rotten Tomatoes with a 60% audience score. So it's not doing super great. And I have a feeling it's not going to do super great here either. So I guess, Kris, what would you rate it?
I think I'm gonna give it just a 5, right middle of the road 5. Didn't love it, didn't hate it.
Yeah, so I'll give it a 5.5. Because I always look back at what I rated other movies and compare it to those movies. So I'll give this one a 5.5 because it was better than Ghost in the Shell, but not by much.
Mm-hmm.
So that is 5.5. That's an average of 5.25 out of Between the Cons. So that is your rating right there. Not the best. Just nope. I feel like for me, knowing that it was a Luc Besson film with The Fifth Element, that like being such an amazing movie, it very much tried to ride the coattails of that. It just fell flat.
It's 20 years later after The Fifth Element, and the thing is, I mean, Luc Besson is like, he's remembered for The Fifth Element, but he's like, that's like the only movie of that type before this one that he's done.
Right.
Like he's done
the Transporter,
all the Transporters,
Taken.
all the Takens,
Yep.
and Leon the Professional, and there's definitely an element of that kind of action movie style that you can see in this. But as far as like this epic space opera story, high concept idea, he's only really done it once before, to great success, cult following, but still.
And it was 20 years ago.
20 years ago, yeah. But yeah, you can definitely see like he's trying. There are even moments where I was like, oh, that's like that moment in Fifth Element. Okay.
Right. Yeah, there was a lot, like The City. Well, I guess we'll get into love it's and hate it's first.
Yeah, we probably should.
So Kris, what did you love? What did you hate? So now is the time. If you have not seen the movie and you do not want it spoiled, stop here.
One of the things I loved was early in the movie. I think earlier I said it was the opening scene, but it's not true. It's actually after the opening scene. But when they're kind of giving you the breakdown. No, I guess it is the opening scene. No, I'm sorry. I'll take that back. But it's giving you the breakdown of how Alpha, this gigantic space station, was made, and it starts with the International Space Station that we now have, and like the capsules connecting and from different countries.
Sure, yeah.
And then we're treated to this great montage.
The handshake montage.
The handshake montage, yeah, where it's no dialogue. It's just all set to David Bowie's Space Oddity, which, great choice. And it's just, as we're watching this, like more
I actually thought it was a super cheesy choice.
Oh man,
I hated that they picked that song.
You're never gonna get me mad at David Bowie, them picking David Bowie. So I was
I just thought it was we're talking like it's about a space station. Like Space Oddity is like the most cheesy choice of song.
It may be on the nose. You're probably right.
Yeah.
It may be on the nose, but I still enjoyed it. But the main thing that I loved about this is that we're treated to this montage of just jumping forward in years, and each time a new country would dock with the space station is growing, and soon we're seeing countries that we don't associate with space travel are now up on the station. And then the turn, an alien ship comes up and docks and connects, and time goes on and this thing gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then finally the station gets so big that they have to push it out into space because it can't stay orbiting around Earth anymore. And it was
reached critical mass.
Yeah, it was a decent sized why I loved it so much is that it was a decent montage that gave you the backstory of this gigantic city that's going to be the setting for the story, this very high concept idea. And it did it with hardly a word spoken, and yet you get the entire story. And so, like, I appreciate for the storytelling. I thought it was also really well done.
Oh yeah,
you disagree,
for sure.
but I also love the song with everything together. And then, bam! Now we know why there's this gigantic space station of all these different species out in space. And in actuality, there's a later point in the movie that the Alex, the computer on Valerian's ship, does a little bit of exposition about all the different species on the space station, which I didn't mind so much because it was just more information.
Well, and it was contextual. Like it didn't feel forced.
Exactly, and I enjoyed that the exposition that we got in this movie was contextual.
Yeah.
But even then, it was just giving more exposition that was added on to this montage that we got earlier that pretty much told me everything I needed to know. Okay, it's a giant space station with thousands of different species on it, and they're all living together in more or less harmony. And I thought it was
really neat, the exposition that Alex did, because it kind of told you how the space station Alpha is what it was called. How Alpha was like split into quadrants, much like hemispheres. I thought that was really neat.
Yeah, and like and each hemisphere kind of had people with different specializations and different,
Right.
and so it was a really neat concept. And so I would say, I mean, I'm guessing I said the opening scene, but I'm guessing it was just the overall concepts for this movie I really loved.
Oh yeah.
It's pulling from great source material, and there's a lot to work with there. So that's what I loved. That's how I.
And the hate.
And the hate. There's a lot I could probably complain about this movie, but I think it really comes down to great concepts. I just wish it had been done with a better script.
Yeah.
Better writing that had pieced it together. And my biggest, I guess, example I can point to, and this is my wife and I, when we were driving back from the movie theater, the whole ride back, we were just hitting on a lot of things, and this is the one we kept on coming back to. There's a big chunk of the movie where the plot takes a turn, and Laureline has to go rescue Valerian, and first she has to go on this side quest to go get this jellyfish that can read her brain so that she can find him. And then she goes and rescues him, and then she immediately gets captured by getting literally caught on a fishing line by these other creatures, and he has to then go rescue her, but he first has to go on this side quest to this strip club where we meet Bubble, this transforming shape-shifting creature, so he can
played by Rihanna,
so he can then get in and save her, and she's going to get eaten, which is a big surprise because she thinks she's just dressing up for this. It's a whole big mess of a thing that, again, there are pieces in there that I enjoyed. I enjoyed the concept of this shapeshifter that Rihanna played. I enjoyed the some of the concepts, again, getting to see more quadrants of the space station. But but the plotting of that movie, it's easily like 45 minutes of the movie that you could have just cut out, and we wouldn't have missed any of it.
Yeah, the only thing that I thought it was good for is like showing off. I don't say that in a bad way. Like
no, it's
showing off these
really
characters.
Hard.
Yeah,
they worked really hard on these designs. They worked really hard on these concepts. I love world building, but you gotta marry it to a better script.
Right.
And I would love to see more of this world. I'd love to see more of Alpha. The pieces are there. I just wish they had been put together in a better way. So that's probably my biggest complaint about the script, is that it's great concepts, really shoddy writing.
Yeah, and the sad part is that Luc Besson actually wrote it.
Yeah,
I mean, he adapted it from Pierre Christin and Jean-Claude Mézières.
Close
I don't
enough.
remember his last name. Mézières. Yeah, Mézières. I just looked it up. But he adapted it from Valerian and Laureline, and from like all of the comic books that were involved with that. He adapted the screenplay. I feel like it was just, like you said, it was out of place. It was like a side mission.
Yeah, and that's like, we had all these we had the main plot, but then again, it felt like a video game where I have to go on this main plot, but I have to also jump into the side quest and do this little thing that's completely taking me off task, and then I'm going to get back into my main mission. And you're right. It's the only reason that we do that is for game makers do it too. It's a lot of times just to show off more of their game, show off more of the world. And that's ultimately what it did. Again, pieces in there I liked, could have done with a better plot. But
yeah. So
that was my hate it.
My love it and hate it. My love it. I loved the characters. I thought that, I mean, kind of not directly in opposition of what you were just talking about, but somewhat. I thought it was really excellent how the characters were done. They're like the characters being the sci-fi characters.
No, I would totally agree with you there.
Like Bubble, Rihanna's character. It was a really interesting take on a shapeshifter. Because we've seen in sci-fi, we've seen shapeshifters before. Usually it's shapeshift, boom, perfect voice, perfect walk, perfect everything, demeanor. One of the interesting things about Bubble was in that side mission, that I'm just gonna keep calling it a side mission.
Yeah.
When they went to save Laureline, she shapeshifts into this like pear-shaped, fat, green,
bug-eyed character,
bug-eyed alien thing, and it wasn't like it was. I mean, she was used to being Rihanna, like that, a very different form. So when she shapeshifted into this alien, it was like she stumbled a little bit, and they were like walking up to the entrance where you have to be this particular race or they don't let you in, or they'll bring you in, but they won't let you out.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting to see that, because like we don't see that when it comes to shapeshifters. It's like boom, shapeshift, done. Like thinking Mystique from
she would just
from X-Men. Yeah.
Yeah, she would just pick it up right away, and
Yeah, and she could like shapeshift into somebody twice her size and have a very different like way of holding themselves, or way of carrying themselves and that kind of thing. And like immediately fall right into that. So I thought that was really cool. The people of Mule, which is somewhat basically actually what the whole story revolves around. They have this really cool thing where they kind of look like the people of Pandora from Avatar.
Kind of, yeah. Just
which got under my skin.
They were just a little more simplified, but similar, yeah.
But it was cool because they had this whole like Paradise Island Paradise Planet ran off of these like iridescent pearls that could produce like hundreds and hundreds of times the amount of power and energy than like standard methods.
Space fuel.
Yeah. So it was really cool, but because that was iridescent, like kind of tying them to that, they also had this like iridescent
like shimmer
skin.
Gleam.
Yeah. Like I don't really know. It was like within their skin, but it was weird. But like they would, as a greeting, they would like tap their forehead and like wave out from there. But it was really cool because when they would tap their forehead, it would be this like cascading shimmer of this iridescence down their face. I thought that was really cool. And that's not something that like we've seen before. And I love that there's still places to go with sci-fi.
Yeah. I mean, it's what we love about sci-fi is all the different concepts that it's kind of open-ended. And we see a lot of great stuff like that in this movie.
Yeah. And then like there are these three, they look like winged platypuses.
Yeah.
That
little bat-winged platypuses.
Yeah. That were like the three fates from Greek mythology.
Yeah.
It was definitely a nod and not like an outright kind of borrowing.
It kind of also reminded me of the shrimp guys from Men in Black. That's who I couldn't think of earlier.
Yeah.
Like less
obnoxious.
Less obnoxious, but definitely like they're that kind of comedic little group.
Yeah, but I thought it was interesting that it was the three of them, and like they would finish each other's sentences, and they were like the holders of all knowledge and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was really cool. But yeah, so definitely my love would be the characters, the just kind of really exploring and creating sci-fi, going somewhere that, at least in my personal experience, I've never seen someone go before. So I thought that was really cool. Now my hate it is cast. Dane DeHaan and Cara Delevingne were probably the worst two people that could have been cast.
So boring.
There was and there's a lot that goes into why. So one, Dane DeHaan had this like 12-year-old kitchen table haircut. like his mom did it, and it looked like it was hard to take him seriously as an adult, even though he's like 30.
Yeah, he's my age.
Yeah, Cara Delevingne, Cara Delevingne, same thing. Like she's very flat. Like she was trying to play this like hard, strong woman agent thing, and it came off as empty for me.
Yeah,
and then
they had like no chemistry.
Yeah, they had no chemistry, and this is the worst part of the movie. There was this wildly unnecessary, unfounded wedding proposal at the very beginning, and it was like they show you that Valerian is this ladies' man. He keeps a playlist, which is like his little black book, basically.
Yeah.
And then like not 30 minutes into the movie, like we don't even understand the entire scope. And I still don't understand the scope of Valerian and Laureline's like history as partners. But they're like space agents, like space detectives, basically. And we have no concept of how long they've been like a team, what kind of like relationship they have or anything. And like 30 minutes into the movie, he proposes. And it's a constant thing that comes up throughout the entire movie, is this reminder of, hey, you remember I proposed to you earlier? I'm still waiting on an answer. Or like some kind of nod to that moment.
Yeah.
And then the very end of the movie is they get stuck in this like really old spacecraft, like Apollo age spacecraft. Once the people of Mule go off to start their own planet again, they get left behind in the spacecraft, and it's just like the proposal comes up again. And then Laureline accepts, and then they make out, and then fade to black. Yeah, and it was just like, and one, it was like heavy making out, and it was
with the camera like right up on it,
and it was way too long for me to look at that. But like they had no chemistry. They were
the whole movie,
and honestly, Dane DeHaan was terrible the whole movie.
I just think, I mean, because Dane DeHaan I've seen him in things that I've liked him in. I just think he was like completely. I think it's a combination of. It's even the best of actors will struggle with a bad script.
Right. I don't think this is a script issue though.
But also I think he was just miscast. I don't think this was the right movie for him.
Well, and that's the thing is like, Cara Delevingne is like in her mid-20s. Dane DeHaan is barely 30.
Yeah.
And this movie, we're supposed to believe that these two people who Dane DeHaan looks very young for his age.
He does. He does not look 30.
They both look like they're in their late teens. And
they could both be in like a high school or college age movie right now.
Easily. Yeah. But we're supposed to believe that these two characters are like long serving, at least like long enough to be classified as the best, serving agents in this intergalactic space cop kind of like force. But they're so young. Like, I would have loved to see people a little bit older. Not a ton older, but just showing their age older.
Yeah.
Like Jason Momoa. I don't want to see Jason Momoa in this role, but Jason Momoa is like in his mid 30s, and he looks like he's in his mid 30s.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to see Dane DeHaan, who's 30, who looks like he's 18, because it was a hard sell for me, and it was so distracting the entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like even Mia, like talking back about Fifth Element, Mia Jovovich and Bruce Willis, they both looked their age. Like Mia Jovovich was still pretty young, and she looked pretty young. But the point was she was supposed to look pretty young.
Yeah.
And Bruce Willis looked like
Bruce
he
Willis
looked
has
the
always
appropriate
looked
age.
Bruce Willis has always looked grizzled.
Yeah. Thank you, Widow's Peak.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was born grizzled.
But yeah, I thought it was really weird. And there was also one thing that I noticed was there was this huge age gap on camera. So you have like Dane DeHaan, Cara Delevingne, Rihanna, who doesn't look like she's in her teens, but definitely looks younger. Especially with all the 3D polish that she got being a shapeshifter. Oh, yeah. Kris Wu, all like basically everyone in the control room. And then you had like Clive Owen, Ethan Hawke, Herbie Hancock, oh my gosh, the guy, the like president that was in there.
Oh, Rutger Hauer.
Rutger Hauer. Like all these guys were much older. So there was a huge age gap between people that looked like they were in their late teens, early 20s, and then people that were like gray-haired.
50s.
Yeah, like gray-haired, wrinkly crow's feet. And it was very difficult for me. Like I just felt like they tried to get like Cara Delevingne, like star-studded kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean she was in Suicide Squad not too long. I mean that was her last big film, and she was a huge hit. A lot of people really liked her character, though it was very undercooked. She's
also known for being like just a year or two ago. She was in some teen movie,
Paper Towns.
That's right. That's what it is.
And then Dane DeHaan. I mean, Dane DeHaan has a really impressive background. He was Harry Osborn in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. He was in Lawless with Tom Hardy and Shia LaBeouf. He was in Chronicle. That was the one. But in all of those roles, he's never been Major Valerian.
Mm-mm.
And maybe it was an opportunity to break out of your shell kind of thing. I didn't feel like it was what it needed to be.
No, I'm with you. And it's the movie definitely could have been served being led by a different duo.
Yeah. Especially one with like good chemistry.
Yeah.
And I think that part in and of itself just really burned me.
And I mean, and you're right, it was hurt by the fact that they didn't have chemistry, but also I agree it was completely unnecessary. Like we don't need that aspect of the story to have enjoyed the story or just believed, oh, they're partners and they just really care about each other because they're partners, and that would have been fine. I would have.
Yeah, there doesn't need to be some kind of weird proposal thing like that. I just didn't like that.
So, and I mean, there are other things. I mean, again, like we said, like we keep on peppering in. There are these things we didn't like, and then there are some aspects in here like we see what they were going for, the concepts that they had that were really cool. I mean, we haven't even mentioned the really cool market scene in this movie.
Oh my gosh, that thing was awesome.
Yeah, like I would have loved more.
It's like VR market.
Yeah, people are going into this market, but the market itself is actually in another dimension. So the only way you can interact with the market is by wearing these special goggles and gloves, and then whatever you bought has to come through this matter phase shifter thing, so you can bring it into your dimension. It was a cool, and it was executed really well. And they kept on shifting back and forth between the dimensions, and it was really
that, like the camera was shifting back and forth, which was really neat because you had like in the dimension where Valerian and Laureline were, it was just the middle of the desert, like nothing was out there. And then in the marketplace, it's like thousands and thousands and thousands of stores, bazaar style.
Mm-hmm.
Reminded me a lot. This is what I was talking about earlier. Reminded me a lot of the way the city was laid out in The Fifth Element.
Definitely.
So yeah, that thing was super dope. That was that was probably my favorite scene in the entire movie.
Easily, and it was just really well done. And again, stuff like that, like there was some good stuff here. There was some, and you could the people that did the designs, and even, I mean, Luc Besson's work on that part was really, really good. It's just, it's a shame that scene was stuck in a underwhelming movie story, and it was. That's why we came down to the scores that we did, because again, there's things that we loved in this movie and things we definitely hated, and when it all shakes out, we're just kind of left with a meh feeling.
Yeah.
Just
I also thought it was really weird that the Emperor of the People of Mule was a man with a woman's voice.
I was a little confused just because they said that, but then it looked like they were referring to the Emperor when they said her. So then I was like, oh, did I misunderstand this? Is the Emperor actually supposed to be a her? Did they actually say him? But I think that's more just, again, that's not what they were focusing on at that time. So I wasn't clear on what they were trying to do with it. But
it was weird. It was all real weird.
Yeah,
I know that much. But
apparently,
who was the Jabba-esque character? His voice was super familiar.
I thought it was John Goodman.
It was John Goodman. It's right here. Egon Cyrus. Oh man, that's awesome. It was totally John Goodman.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, oh yeah, but
he plays like a mobster. Like a very much like a Jabba the Hutt character.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the movie, it wasn't terrible. It was entertaining. There were some times where it was kind of boring, but I think overall it was entertaining. It was fun to watch. It had some really cool sci-fi aspects.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see another one.
No, and that's really the shame that comes down to this. Like, had this been a TV series, we could explore the world and maybe some more
amazing
development. And I mean, also, a lot of times what sci-fi does is that the purpose of sci-fi is that it takes modern issues or things or just concepts and things in our culture today, and then recontextualizes them in this fantastical other world, and it's a way to explore it. And there are elements of that there too,
right?
But ultimately, when you're presenting us with the name of your movie literally has the city of 1,000 planets, all these different species, but it makes it really look like humans are the ones running the show, even where they met on the big high council and it was the Federation of or the Human Federation Council or whatever. And humans are like the only two people. There are only like 2 humans in the room, and the rest of these.
But at the same time, like the humans started it.
Yeah, and I get that. Like, but it's similar to like Star Trek, where the humans started the Federation, and in Star Trek, the majority of the characters are human because makeup is expensive. You can only make up so many actors, and I get that, but. I feel like there was such great material here that I think ultimately was underserved. And I agree. Had it been a TV series or a mini series or a primetime series, something, we could have gotten fantastic. And if anyone wants to do that, if any director out there wants to take, oh man, if they're watching this, like, man, they could have been done better, and they want to bring it to a cable series, I will watch that right now.
So hard.
But I agree. If they were to do a sequel, I'm not interested.
Yeah. It was, so all in all, kind of wrapping things up, entertaining, fun sci-fi, boring at times, or drawn out at times.
I checked my phone to see what time it was, how long it had been.
Yeah,
and
a couple times.
If a movie makes me do that, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, that's like a 2-point deduction right there.
Yeah.
you don't have to watch it. I wouldn't say, if you're still listening and you haven't seen it, I'm not going to tell you that it's a must see. You need to go see it. If you go see it, know what you're getting into. And I think you'll enjoy it. If for nothing else, it'll be entertaining and it'll be visually stunning, because it was absolutely visually stunning.
Yeah. I mean, I saw it in 3D. Not that I meant to see it in 3D. It was the only time that I could.
Right.
That was the only time available. And it wasn't necessarily worth it to see it in 3D. But again, visually, I was like, oh, I'm really enjoying the visual feast for my eyes and brain was
great. I saw it totally flat. Standard screen, no 3D, none of the extra frills or anything. And I enjoyed the display.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
It's like a wait for it on Redbox, or maybe it'll be on Netflix or something.
Right. Yeah. Like, wait to check it out if you want. Check it out in theaters. It's entertaining. It looks fantastic. That's the only thing I would push people to go see it in theaters for, is you will not have the opportunity to go see that movie in theaters again.
Right.
And with the amount of visual effects and how well they were done, I would suggest it. But anyways, 5.25 out of Between the Cons. Valerian, A City of a Thousand Planets. Not great, but not the worst we've ever seen either. Even though I think Ghost in the Shell is the worst movie we've reviewed on the podcast. So check it out if you want. If you've already seen it, hit us up on the internet, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Let us know what you guys think. We'd love to have a discussion about it, especially if you feel differently, if you feel like it was done really well.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your comments on it. So hit us up, let us know. If you hated it, you're more than welcome to complain on our socials as well. We'll get into that retort with you. No sweat. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Check out our website, betweenthecons.com, where you can stream all of our episodes. You can link out to our social media sites, and you can sponsor the show. If you want to sponsor the show, it's through Patreon, Satchel, and Amazon. Check those things out. If you like our theme music, check out Ifixa, betweenthecons.com/bandcamp, or look up Coyote Kisses on YouTube. They're the ones that do our Roundtable theme segue song thing. And Beats. Finally, Beats. And finally, subscribe to the show. Just come hang out. We release every Monday and Thursday. It's a great time. You don't want to miss out because we want you to not miss out.
Yeah.
And that's why. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Have a great week. Enjoy your times. And we will talk to you on Thursday.
Bye. I've got other things to add.